Thank you for joining us here on another fun-filled episode of Karmic Woof. We
Hello,
have a
hello.
very special guest. Hello, hello. We have a very special guest, same guest as we had last week, Padma Gonpo Rinpoche, and we're here to talk about a very important subject, which is Predator Craft. And I know a lot of you have never heard of this, but there's some real opportunity in this broadcast for those who are seeking opportunities. So we want to talk about this. How are we doing?
So what is Predator Craft, right? Predator Craft is physical resilience without physical limitation. That's what it is. So what does that mean, right? That means essentially that a Predator Craft end user can walk through the world without having to worry about anyone being able to touch them because they have defensive capabilities beyond what you usually get out of martial arts. Predators hunt, right? Predators don't go for trophies. They don't play patty cake. They usually end a fight as quickly as absolutely possible because they don't want to hurt themselves. Because they hurt themselves, they can't hunt tomorrow. So a predator typically will try to end a fight in 3 to maybe 6 or 7 seconds. A long fight might be 15. But in the end of that, your opponent is not left in the capacity to be able to harm you. I don't mean just restraint. I mean, they cannot physically muster up enough strength or mobility to be able to harm you. So Predator Craft's origins go back to the early Bond warriors. So that it goes way back, but this isn't a religious thing. This is a personal combat system. Okay. So on the bottom end, as a user, they go to academies. Academies teach them how to do hand-to-hand combat, edge and impact weapon combat, and firearm self-defense, as well as how to use firearms and things like that in the field so you don't end up getting shot with your own gun. Past that, we also do short spear and shield training and tactical kendo, which are intellectual properties that the Predator Craft organization, which is mine, licenses you for. So what a Predator Craft instructor is his license holder. Basically, they're a person who gets licensed in this combat technology. And then they create an academy and train students. So what does that mean? That means being able to create a self-defense training facility that didn't have to come out of your pocket. First of all, you didn't have to go get a loan. You didn't have to go sell anything that you currently own or any of that kind of thing to be able to pay for this. We have a process that helps people work through all that. We have a 90-day startup program that helps people get their feet under them and fund their academy. What an academy is not a franchise. We're not going to sit there and tell you do this and do that and do this other thing. We have programs. That's what we're going to teach you about how to do and how and provide you support. Those programs are designed for like 2 and 3 day combat classes, children's self-defense, senior self-defense. The spear and shield stuff everybody usually has a great time with because you learn how to work together with spears and shields so that you can clear hallways and push bad people back. And we even do some fun stuff with like the turtle where you lock all the shields together as a group and then you can move around like a little tank. So it's fun stuff because it's kind of a cross between modern material sciences and ancient weaponry. So those are always fun. And the tactical kendo is a sword art that takes regular Japanese sword martial arts and amplifies it to the point where it's incredibly dangerous. Not for the person who's trained in it, but for anybody who chooses to try and harm them. So, because the Japanese are an R-rated country, they just take it off and take it off and take it off. You swing it and they remove it. So basically, what this does is it creates individuals on the end user side that can move anywhere in the world and not be touched. on the instructor side, it creates somebody who can go through any kind of disaster and not have a problem. So if the world around them completely started to collapse, they'd be able to go from wherever they are to home and be able to not have to worry about being stopped.
Like I was thinking about how you could use this in other aspects of life as well, because like the mind, like getting the mind all focused and prepared and stuff like that.
When
So it
you're
really does discipline the mind, I think, too.
when you're unable to be harmed, you don't have fear.
Yeah,
Your confidence is really strong because
right.
you know at any given moment, if anyone gets aggressive or whatever, you can just stop them. You
Hmm.
know, and I won't sugarcoat the thing. When you're sitting there and somebody's getting in your face, you may be very quiet and very calm, but that doesn't mean you haven't already figured out 16 things you can do to shut them up.
Right.
you just you don't really have to do it because you know you can. You don't have to prove it. You already know you can. And that's kind of the really big thing here. I mean, we did a presentation of this yesterday to somebody that wants to open 6 schools. And so I mean that's they want to open 6 academies. That means six instructors, right? And
or more.
we did a little demo for them. Yeah, to get started at 6, and then
Yeah.
from there, we did a demo for them where they got a chance to see what this really looks like, and they were like, "Whoa, where do I sign?" So that's it.
It's as a layperson, I'm just a Gonpo, I'm not a Banku. So I have fear. I have a trepidation, like I have confusion. I have which way do I go? You know? Um is this a better thing or is that a better thing? With Predator Craft, you don't really have that. In the time that it takes you to take a breath and just relax and look at the whole scene, you know exactly what to do because you know exactly how they're standing. You can see what it is that they're doing. The way that they move tells you everything.
Mm-hmm.
If they move in fluid motions, okay, that's one thing. If they move in jerky motions, that's another.
And you can control the entire scenario from the very beginning by how you position yourself and the kind of movements you do. So the moment someone engages with you, they are literally like a marionette at the end of your strings.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
And the funny thing is Banku always says, if you can keep them from touching you, that's true. But what if you want them to touch you?
True.
Help me let go. That's something students will have said in the past. Help me let go. Help me let go. Not help me hold on, but help me let go.
Well, no, I've seen you in person, just in working with you. You could grab an arm and use it as a weapon against them. Or you could
Yeah,
like
I'll use
you could
fingers
use
against
any body part you want to do anything you want. Yeah. And you're not letting go if you don't want to.
No, Predator Craft really is. If I can touch you, I can kill you. That's
Yeah.
how it works. But we learned this the hard way because we used to just teach this to our elite defenders, right? So like basically what would be equivalent to special forces in today's world. But unfortunately, when the Tibetans decided to wipe out the Zhangzhou provinces, we didn't have enough of them to push back 8 armies.
Yeah.
So we learned after that everybody that studies bond should be capable of defending the kingdom. So
Yeah. I
after
mean,
that, we started coming up with better ways to do that, to convey those trainings that don't require months and months and months worth of practice and training to be effective with. So that's the thing. I mean, when we this is not something where we woke up one morning and went, let's make a school. This is centuries of learning to defend people who can't defend themselves against people who are trained military. And you look at somebody, imagine somebody who's a swords master from 1,000 years ago, right? I mean, this is not somebody like today. It's not some guy who went down to some sword kiosk and bought some cheap pot sword. This guy pretty much forged his own sword by going and extracting the metals and heating them up and pounding them down and doing all that stuff. And he's in a family line that has used swords for thousands of years. So he trains every day. Those kind of people were our opponents. Even as early as about 400 years ago, we were still fighting, people that were trained like samurai. I mean, so
Right.
you look at that; those people aren't. They're not the clueless individuals that run around today. These guys were master swords people, and our people would travel around with minimal weaponry because if you didn't have a lot, you typically weren't attacked by the thieves. So, and since you don't want to have to fight, you tended to move around without having to carry a whole bunch of junk. But if you needed to fight, then you wanted to be able to fight in groups, right? Because these thieves didn't attack one on one. Thieves attacked 30 on one, so you had to be able to defend yourself. So our guys would walk along with a simple spear or a basic shaft and maybe a dagger or something, and that would be about it. And then they'd defend themselves with those sort of things. See, so but you're not dealing with somebody who they've got 3 trophies from a taekwondo school where they went and competed in some local or regional patty cake competition. These were killers that were trained to be able to wipe you out, and that's what forged the system. And we train for that. I mean, that's you need to be aware that you might have to really defend yourself because you don't know if the person attacking you has 16 friends or not, and if they're armed. So, how do you block and move things, right? So, typically speaking, most people are adverse to shooting their friends. So, how do you move their friends into the field of fire so you're not the one that's currently being aimed at? Right? Little things like that are important. And it doesn't matter if you're talking bows and arrows or Chinese repeating crossbows or machine guns. So the bottom line is you want to put somebody they don't want to shoot between you and them so they don't shoot until you get close enough to be able to take the toys away. We have a program that teaches people how to clear buildings in case we end up in a situation where cartels are possessing buildings that you might need for self-defense, you and your friends. And so we show you we show their instructors how to clear rooms. Well, those guys could then offer that as a class. And when they clear rooms, they actually go through room to room, hallway to hallway, door to door, level to level, and remove anybody that you don't want in that building out. See, and those things, if you're getting the firearm side of the training, you use those laser training rounds. So it's a bullet basically that is a laser instead of a projectile. And so when you pull the trigger, the hammer goes forward and it turns on the laser beam for a second.
Oh, I got you. Okay.
And then it scores if you shoot at a target, and the target will tell you if you hit it or not.
Like laser tag used to be where it did a little thing.
Boy, this uses your actual pistols and stuff.
Right. That's cool.
Yeah, it's an incredible invention, but they're very handy for training tactical operations level behaviors without having the bang 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 going on constantly. And they're safe in the fact that there are no bullets in the gun. That's something that has to be verified before they can move, of course. But when there's no bullets in the gun, all you got a laser beam, and the worst you're going to do is shoot someone in the eye with a laser. It just makes them mad. So
Now, one of the things I was sorry,
go
I
ahead.
was going to say, one of the things that I was thinking about in this world is a lot of the viewers will say, well, I know Taekwondo and I know Kendo, I know whatever, it's like, so why should I know Predator Craft? How much better is Predator Craft than say your average normal martial arts? And how could that be more beneficial to a regular martial art in today's world? Because we know
Well,
today's world is getting more dangerous.
we used to train. I've trained corporations, security teams in this, and this has in less than 8 seconds has taken down a 20-year combat experienced Navy SEAL instructor, put him on the mat for about 8 minutes where he couldn't even get up. He got a little frisky. So But by knowing what nerves control different things in the body, which is one of the things they learn, um, you know where to strike to literally disable your opponent, and that's what we did with him. So I mean, you don't have to. I well, I guess an easier way to put it: a fourth degree black belt in Taekwondo lost to a simple demonstration in this system in 4.5 seconds. And it took him nearly half an hour to get back on his feet because he was not in the best shape. He was strong,
Yeah.
but he was competition ready. He wasn't combat ready.
Right.
I have had people that have had hip replacements, and one lady had a shattered ankle. A horse fell on it when she was young and we never fixed it right. People like that have taken this thing, and they're able to take down people 2 and 3 times their size, no problems at all. Without, I mean, they couldn't even touch them. So it's like, all the way through, the hand-to-hand combat, the edge and impact weapons. Edge and impact weapons are like knives and machetes and clubs and spears and staffs and that kind of thing, right? And then firearms, you learn how to defend against them, as well as how to, if you take one away from somebody, how to make sure they don't take it back. So you don't need to be a weapons owner to be able to end up with a weapon in a conflict with this thing.
That's important.
We call that weapons delivery. They show up and they bring their weapons with them, and then you just simply take what you want.
Right. Now I know firsthand because I've taken martial arts,
Mm-hmm.
but I've also worked with you,
Mm-hmm.
and I've seen you work. We've done. You've showed me moves and all this other, and how to disarm someone and turn around. And
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're talking. This is some very impressive stuff. So I know firsthand from watching you that this stuff works and how much better it is than your normal everyday martial art, and how much more effective it is at actually protecting you and everyone else you love than your normal everyday martial art. But
Well,
yeah, because I do know that people will have that question, which is why I ask it. But I know firsthand because I've been there, I've seen it, I've seen them do it, and this stuff's real. Let me tell you.
I guess the first difference you really notice if you've actually been to martial arts training, in a regular competition martial arts class, you do an awful lot of repetitive drills. In Predator Craft, you do dynamic practice. And so we have a practice methodology that lets you literally go onto a mat with another student that's taken a Predator class and work through any kind of attack that you want to work through without having to go through a bunch of arm flapping and weird stuff to make it happen. It literally, they can attack you, you can defend. You can attack them, they can defend. And it doesn't say, well, you've got to kick here and punch here and move this way. No, you get all that in the Predator Craft training. But when you're practicing with somebody, you're able to attack them any way you want. If you've seen some really wicked martial arts move in some movie you've seen, you can work through what goes well and what goes wrong with it. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? And not hurt each other. That's the other important part here is being able to train without putting the opponent in danger, your training partner in danger. Because if you hurt your training partner, they don't want to train with you anymore. So,
Right.
and you're not really there to be the victor. You're there to learn how the methods work so you can employ them. And so what you end up with is you develop a mind that sees the opportunities in conflict, knows what what options are available as far as body weapons and lines of force and movement patterns and that kind of thing to maximize your success in that combat situation. You know, maybe you're getting bored having them come down the middle to attack you, and you decide you want to make them go around the outside and work for it. So you change your hand position, and they have to they have to go around everything. After a while,
Good point.
they're
Yeah,
tired, and then you give them a break and let them go down the middle again for a bit.
absolutely. Because I've seen you could do that. I've seen you do it. You're like, well, let me. How I stand will determine how you hit me or how you come again.
Yeah,
You determine how they come towards you. It's like
yeah,
it's not like you're trying to defend yourself. You're actually in charge
yep,
because you're maneuvering yourself for, and you know exactly where they're going to hit, and that's
yep.
amazing. Yeah,
Yeah, it's much better when you're in control of the thing from the beginning.
great.
So Um,
And that's like when you're sparring with you personally, you're like, do this. And I'm like, well, what am I getting myself into here?
yeah, yeah, because I'll do creepy things like bend a finger the wrong direction, or
Yeah,
grab your hand in a nerve cluster that makes the whole body fold, and you
he
know,
will. Yeah. Yeah.
one the guy we were working with yesterday, I was grabbing uh, liver acupoints,
Oh,
which like
yeah.
completely took a strength away. And he was twice my size, easy. Um, and so, you know, having him locked down on an arm, right, to just both hands, just locking down as tight as you can, holding it, right, reaching up and grabbing his radial nerve and his median nerve, and literally then just being able to pull him wherever I wanted to go and break free. he was he didn't have a choice because he had no strength. Your nervous system's an incredible vulnerability if you don't know how to use it or how to protect it. So, we teach that stuff. Um, that's that's what Predator Craft is. But for a person who might want to have an academy, it could be an incredible opportunity because you don't have to sit in a cubicle. You don't have to listen to some person that doesn't know anything about what they're doing. That's now your boss. You don't have any of that stuff. What you've got is you got a building that you control. Um, and I recommend personally, I recommend having several of these things because we have a thing that sets you up so that from the very beginning, I mean, literally, when your school opens, you already have a $60,000 salary waiting for you. It's already banked. You already have your training paid for, already banked. You already have a $40,000 startup budget to work on. And most martial arts schools start on $5,000. You know what I'm saying? They don't
Right.
start all well funded. That's why they may or may not make it very far. So starting on a $40,000 budget plus a $60,000 salary where they don't have that to start with, you're starting pretty darn good, you know. And that's just with one academy. If you go and start a second one, that other 60 grand could be broken up into pay your people too, your instructors,
Yeah.
you
That's a
know.
good point.
And we have ways to transfer the license from an academy that sent an instructor to the instructor themselves and things like that. We have a lot of because we're dealing in licensing here, right? This is intellectual property. If this were a franchise, then there'd be all this extra garbage that has to go with it, but it's not. This is just straight intellectual property. You come, you learn the technology. We support you in the technology, and you do what you want. If you want an academy that's got tanning beds, you can have it. We don't care. If you want to do cold bath stuff, right, where people jump into a plastic tub full of ice, go for it. I don't care, right? Those are all your decisions. If you want to have yoga classes, go have yoga classes. You're going to have at the end of this thing because at the boot camp, at the training boot camp that we train instructors at the end of that, we send them mats, a full studio scale set of mats, right? Like these are
Mhm.
competition grade mats, so they're the best quality stuff. You get a training kit of weapons, training weapons and stuff. You get all the stuff you need to literally start up right when it arrives at where you're going. So if you've already got the building, we'll ship it straight to your building. If you don't have the building and you want to ship it somewhere else, we'll ship it wherever you want it shipped. But the bottom line is you have everything you need to start when you walk out of training. You don't have to then go shopping for 17,000 different things. You have all of the stuff you need to start training Predator Craft when you get home if there's nothing on back order. That's in today's world with all these tariffs and stuff. We got, sometimes the manufacturers struggle to get things to us fast. And that's not something we have any control over. But um, because we use professional quality equipment, um, all that has to be ordered up front. So what we usually do is when we're going to do a class, when you register, we order your equipment.
Sure.
And it's several $1,000s of stuff. It's like these mats and all these training items are not cheap because you're going to get training rifles, you're going to get training pistols, you're going to get training knives, you're going to get and enough to
Yeah.
train basically enough to train 30 people
Right.
at a time. Um, and in these classes, when you do these classes, you'll probably do them like Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So you'll do a 3-day training, basic Predator Craft training Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Then maybe on Tuesdays you're going to do tactical kendo training, and tactical kendo training is kind of an ongoing thing, right? So it's like a membership thing. Um, you have people that are going to want practice time on the mats, so they can come in with their friends, or just come in and hang out with other people that know Predator Craft, and work through combat drills or whatever, to hone their skills and get work through something new they've seen or whatever. And so you've got open mat time that students can come in for, and it's all these things set up a membership model that allows people to keep coming back to your academy every month, every week, every month, um, and stay in contact with you and find out about the next class you're doing. And we're going to be rolling other program classes out once we get some more academies up and running. So there's always something cool to offer. And then on top of that, we have these things called elite members, which pay for a year and get access to stuff that nobody else gets. So if you're not an elite member, you don't get to get in on that training.
Hmm.
And that's how you fund your academy in the first place, is through elite membership.
That's awesome. Now, another thing that comes to mind for the viewers out there, I know in regular martial arts, it could take 3 years to become a black belt to even qualify to start your own dojo or whatever. But in Predator Craft, the learning, time scale is much quicker.
Yeah.
Isn't it like what is it, 60 days or something?
Well, when you go to, let's say they go to a 3-day training,
Mhm.
they will walk out of the first day being able to defend themselves with their hands against unarmed opponents. By day 2, when they walk out of training, they'll be able to defend themselves against knives and sticks and swords and that kind of thing. By day 3, they'll be able to defend themselves against also firearms. Now, that at least a um, reasonable level of defense. And then if you practice, you go in and you start working with people on the mats, and going through working on your timing and your precision and that kind of thing. So that's really where it's important at, is the timing and precision, right? If you're standing in the wrong place when someone swings for your head, you're going to get hit in the head. So you want to not be there when the punch comes through. And that's a matter of timing. If you move too soon, they'll adjust the swing. If you move too late, you're going to get hit. So you want to know in their body mechanics, when's the right time to move, and should you move in or out? Because I'll tell you something. If you're fighting a taekwondo guy and he throws one of those powerful swinging kicks and you step into his kneecap, it'll shatter his knee. You don't have to do anything. He'll shatter his own knee. And then in the evil defensive world I come from, will then strike him probably somewhere very tender and send him flying. Okay, so and typically at that point, since he can't really stand anymore, and you just make it so he can't breathe or will never reproduce again, it kind of brings it into that fight.
Yeah, you're going down. You're going down hard.
Yeah, and like people in tactical gear, they're so loaded up with garbage that they're easy to play with, because you could grab anything they've got. I mean, grab their helmet and turn it around 90 degrees and see what happens to them, because yeah, it squeezes the face pretty good, and they're like, I've done training for special police units a couple times in the past, and they're very cocky, and so the way I see it is, whatever you teach them, they deserve. So, um, so that was always fun. So I know about their riot gear and how to take the shields they use and use them against them. How to take their batons and literally just basically neuter the police, the aggressor, or whatever, military person, so that baton no longer is any more dangerous to you than a sippy cup straw. You know what I'm saying? And so here you got this guy who thinks he's big and bad and mean, and you all of a sudden you turn the whole thing against him, and it's like it's that sudden manhood falls apart on them. That's just there's a certain giggle that goes with that. I mean, You know, um, they're not trained very well, and so because they train in things like Krav Maga, which is just punch it in the head, punch it in the head. So, so those guys are fun for us to play with because usually they're also kind of like into bodybuilding and stuff. So they got like this beautiful map of muscles and nerves. You don't have to go, where is that nerve on this fat person? You don't have to worry about that because it's right there on the map, just like on the diagram that you learned it off of. It's like there's that muscle group. Let me hit this. Oh, did that hurt? you know, and because I personally don't think anybody should go through life having to worry about being beaten up. And I don't think that when you look at this from a Bonku perspective, there is no reason why anyone should have to fear for their lives. And we have this thing in Bon. If you're not controlling your mind, who is, right?
Okay.
So if the person who's trying to bully you or trying to force you into something, if they're trying to control your mind, you could say, no, I'm controlling my mind. And you could
Yeah.
enforce that control. If someone's trying to kidnap your kid and your kid knows how to grapple properly, how to use nerve strikes and stuff to make them let go, then they have a chance to run. Saying? So I mean, these are things that are modern needs in today's crazy world. They just happen to have been honed back in ancient history in the very beginning. And we modernized stuff. I mean, if they came out with some new laser weapon tomorrow, we'd have training for it in a week.
I know. Yeah. That's the amazing thing about Bond that I love.
Well, yeah, it's just Predator Craft in general is designed to be flexible in its training process.
Mhm.
So if you can get your hands on one of those things, you can figure out how to defend against it. When the Chinese came out with repeating crossbows, it didn't take us a month to figure out how to defeat a person with armed with a crossbow, much less a squad of them. So, and not everybody in the Chinese forces had repeating crossbows. There were sword guys and there were knife guys and there were people who used bows and arrows and spears. Most of them had spears and shields. So if you know how to defeat a spear and shield, then you can get around most of the line um, stuff that enforcement uses. If you know how to defend against repeating crossbows, you can handle a machine gun. So, you know, so that's the thing is, with these things, it doesn't matter what scale of force you're up against. Predator Craft teaches you how to manage it. So, there's a lot of what if we get invaded by so and so? Well, if you get invaded by so and so, it's not a big deal. They're no different than a bar fight. You know?
Right.
So, and in today's world, you never know when there's going to be a bar fight or a riot
Sure.
or a protest that turns ugly or somebody that's being paid to go down the street and throw rocks through windows and you just happen to be in the way. I mean, things like that. Your situational awareness gets really good with Predator Craft.
Yeah. And I know people out there are going to go, well, I have a gun. It's like, well, what if they take your guns away? What are you going to do?
You may have a gun, but if you're in 11 feet of me, I could take your gun in a second.
Yes,
And
I know.
beyond that, you're gonna, in a really prolonged conflict, you're gonna run out of ammo. I don't care if you've got 50,000 rounds. The bottom line is you've got to get to them. You've got to reload. You got to open the box, and every time that you're delayed and not pushing someone back, they're moving forward, right? And somewhere along the way, you're going to have to sleep. So if you
Sure.
have enemies still standing in your area, they will continue to advance on you until you can't push them back any further. So in a real survival situation, ammo is not the way to be. It really isn't. You know, what will work really good is if you set off their ammo. So, you know, think about that for a second. Because then it goes everywhere. So that's one of the things in the Navy. The Navy gunners are taught to shoot for ammo supplies inside the ships first, not shoot for them last. If you can hit an ammo supply, that whole ship will cut itself in half.
Good, actually. Yeah, I didn't think of that, but that's very important.
Mm-hmm. So what happens if you um, are dealing with somebody with a flashbang grenade on their belt? You pop the pin, you squeeze the handle, and then you walk away. roll away, or put somebody else in front of them. Something between you, because when that flashbang goes off, it's going to cut them in half. There's a video floating around on the internet right now where somebody from one of these protests, these ICE protests, picked up a flashbang grenade and the thing blew their hand off. So I mean, there's some destructive power in these flashbang grenades. Just because they say it's a non-lethal weapon doesn't mean that's true, right?
Well, it didn't kill the guy. It just
Well, it killed.
took his
It
fuse off.
it was a woman who thought she was, and she holds it up in the air like I've got it, and then her hand goes away. Well, that wasn't very smart. And then she's like, ah.
What did I sign up for?
If it blows up, don't pick it up. Okay.
Yeah.
Free lesson. Don't pick up exploding things.
Now, one of the things too that is probably strange to viewers is that you are a Banku, an enlightened being, and you're over here dealing with self-defense and war tactics and stuff like that. And most people aren't too versed with that. But there's a whole point as to why you're different than
I live in
every other religious leader.
I'm in a world of humans. I'm here to help you learn how to increase your intelligence. That's what Bond does, right? Bond enlightened means highly intelligent, not intellectual, but you've actually taken the intelligences that you were born with and developed them to a primordially pure wisdom state. Okay, which means they're not stupid anymore. They don't get misled. They've gone through and cleaned up all their processes so that they see what's really going on, understand it, and have access to a multitude of information beyond what a normal human could process. A normal human processes between 7 plus or minus 3 things or less at a time. So parallel wise, you can only think and experience maybe 10 items at the most in your head at any given moment. Anything past that overwhelms you. And it puts you in a trance state, which leaves you open to program. So if we can make you afraid, we can occupy 3 channels in your brain really quick, right? And then we occupy you with some movement that you want to believe in, and now you're up to 7. And then we make you angry, which takes you over the top of 10. And then if we tell you go out and shoot your neighbor, you will. That's what the governments do. They learned this. So if you don't get angry, if you don't get afraid, if you don't have any of those things, but none of their entire control structure works on you, you get to see what exactly it is that they're doing, and you know exactly what you need to do to avoid it. Right? So that's why we've always been very pro freedom in Bond, because if you're having to live under tyranny, you don't have the freedom to study anything that's going to make you smarter, because intelligence is the enemy of tyranny. Smart people are hard to control because you can't lie, right? They have critical thinking, they have observation skills, they can predict outcomes based on pattern recognition and that kind of stuff. So so we've always tried to make sure that our students have access to those processes to develop their intelligence so they can become more intelligent. And what you see as a student is you start to see, as a Bond student, you start to see that problems that were devastating a year ago aren't a problem now. They pop up, they still happen, but you know what to do to get around them. You know how to work through them. And it's not even something where you go, oh, wow, that again. No, you just deal with it. I mean, it's not even a big deal anymore. So the problems you encounter next are usually the really big ones that would have completely stopped you from moving forward. Right. And you learn to work through those. And before too long, you're not really ever stuck. And then they start doing the really fun stuff. But I mean, but it as an intelligence, if you take yourself out of the idea that you're a body and you say, okay, I have a biochemical processing system equal to that of an animal. That's what the body does, right? So neurochemistry, right? Neurochemistry is the thing that tells you that you're happy and you're sad and you're this and you're that. basically you're releasing dopamine, and you're releasing adrenaline, you're releasing I almost said estrogen.
So whatever, yeah.
I'd be releasing that too. I don't know, but so, you're dumping chemicals in there, and that's what's affecting your quote mood, right? And so, um, if you're letting that make decisions for you, you have the intelligence of maybe a German Shepherd at best. Okay, and then you have the intelligences that one of them watches physical patterns, and it recognizes physical patterns, and you have one that watches your sensory inputs, and that internal dialogue, things you hear, see, touch, smell, all that kind of stuff, right? It watches those, and then you have one that encapsulates information. Those are your three types of intelligence you have. And so if the first one that recognizes physical patterns doesn't talk to the second one, the data you're collecting is really, really iffy at best, right? And then on top of that, if you feed it the wrong information, it misinterprets it when it goes to stick it in your encapsulated data. So when you have an automatic response to something that's occurring around you, you're acting on the wrong information. So how could you possibly get through that and come out with a good result? It's going to be hit and miss at best, right? And if you're also backing it up with the neurochemical addictions, then what's going to happen is you're going to be biased towards having the result that gives you the most dopamine or the most endorphins or that kind of thing, right? And so that's when we talk about karma. That's the habit pattern that we're talking about, is the combination between the neural chemicals and the wrong information encoded in your intelligences. So when you clean that up, you don't fall prey to those things, and then you can start becoming a bigger, brighter, more dense uh, ball of intelligence, essentially. And then from there, that ultimately could develop into enlightenment, which is what the end game here is in Bond, right? To become the pure primordial wisdom, right?
Right.
And so that's what a Bonku is, the pure primordial wisdom, and there's a test for that. So
Right.
it's not that I read some book and congratulations, now I are enlightened. I mean, I actually went through a whole process to validate that, essentially. And it's not one that most people want. Honestly,
Well, you have to give up a lot to do that. Yeah.
you do almost everything, yeah. And
Yeah.
so what you end up with is incredible intelligence that knows what's going on and can help other people. Because what it boils down to ultimately in the end is it's not that hard to become enlightened. You just have to stop trying to be stupid. Really, you got to embrace the idea that intelligence is what you want to be, and then from there it gets easier. But if you enjoy being stupid, then yeah, we say ignorant because ignorant means you don't know. But there are some people that know they don't know and they don't care and they want to continue to be ignorant. So it's like
Yeah.
those people are stupid, right? Because stupidity is doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting a new result. So
Right. You know it's wrong anyway.
yes, and you know where this is going to end. You've done it 150 times this year alone, right? And you're like, I'm at it again. But this time it'll be better. Yeah, sure it will. So, um, most people end up in a conflict situation because they just flat out weren't paying attention in the first place. They had no situational awareness. They turned a corner and walked into a gang. They didn't peek around the corner and see if they really wanted to go down that street at all. They just went, oh, la, 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 la. Oh, whoops. you know, um, it's that thing where you come around the corner and there's a parade coming straight at you, and you end up getting swept into the parade because you can't run fast enough to get away from them, right? You just don't want to be caught in those situations. You want to know that that's not a place you want to be standing when they sweep through there. And if that parade's got shields and billy clubs, you probably don't want to get caught in that. Right? Even things like tasers, you could tell where the leads of a taser is going to go because of this thing called field of fire. And you also know what the probability of them being able to hit you with from different distances away from them. You know what's really funny? When you're just about 6 inches out of range on the leads, and they go whoop, and they fall. Because they can't just shoot again, right? They have to
Right. No,
promote this
that's it.
thing, right? And so that's funny because the look of disappointment on their face is just hysterical. It's like they thought for sure they were going to get that thrill of electrocuting you, and it just fell short, literally. And now you're advancing on them, and they're like, "Oh boy,"
What do I
because
do now?
prepared for that mentally.
No, all of a sudden they've exceeded their plus, 7 plus or minus 1
Yes.
intelligence capability.
And you're going to take their toy away from them and wrap them up in the leaves and then go zap, 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 zap.
Many times as you want. Yeah.
Give them a little taste of their own medicine before you decide what you're going to do from there, right? Um, so those are all, that's all just funny. But I mean, the bottom line is you'll know how to do that stuff when you learn Predator Craft. But to become an instructor, that's to become a person who actually has knowledge, to be able to train other people and a real business. And like I said, I recommend, if you get good at the startup part of this, go out and start another one. Don't be the person who's the instructor, be the person who's the academy owner, and then start making chains of these things, because every time you put up a new one, there's another big bunch of capital that comes from those elite memberships, and that pays for your facility startup, it pays for your people, it pays for their training, it pays for all their equipment. All that stuff's covered in the whole deal, right? So
Right.
if you do the process that we show people, you don't have to pay out of pocket. You've already
You show
allocated
them.
money from
Yeah.
the elite students, the elite
Yeah,
members.
you show them exactly how to make the money to get the training and to start the business and to make money once you start the business when you're done. I mean, you give them all the information.
And then we step out of the way so they can actually make money instead of going, well, you've got to send us 30% of your income.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
franchise.
you'll
No, I
do
don't
that.
want to do that. What I
Right.
want is, if you want to open a new one, send your people to get trained, because
Yeah.
that's the licensing, right? Only we could train instructors. Only we could certify instructors. Past that, once your instructors are certified, you can train anybody that wants to come to class. We're out of the way of that. I mean, they know how to teach at that point. There's no reason for us to stay involved in your daily operations of your academy, and that's not what we're there for. But we will continue to develop and evolve programs that are timely and meet the needs of the population that is your student base. So it's kind of the best of both worlds for a franchise thing, because you're not a franchise, we're not going to require you to buy property from us or go into debt with us or any of that kind of thing. The bottom line is we're going to show you how to get your students to fund your school, to be able to get your school on its feet, and we're going to train your instructors so they have the equipment and the training to do it, and then when they arrive they start training.
Yeah.
And I recommend we got how to make it a big deal, right? Neighborhood defense leagues, right? Everyone knows what a neighborhood watch is, right?
Right.
Well, if you have people that know how to defend the neighborhood that can't really be touched by anybody thuggy, then you got a safe neighborhood, right? And
Right.
so how to work with law enforcement, that's in that program, so that they don't think that you guys are the bad guys. How to support them in the case that, you look at some of these smaller police departments. If an Antifa or one of these Soros funded organizations comes in there and starts trying to cause trouble, you may have 7 or 8 cops, and that's it. You're not going to be able to stand against 500 or 600 people. But having people that you can deputize temporarily is that's it's being able to draw on them and knowing that they can help you suppress and arrest people. That's a big thing, and so um, you're not having to worry about them really getting hurt because no one can really touch them, and they come with their own equipment, which is even better. So, you know, most students will buy equipment from you, you know. So
Oh yeah, you know what they need. So sure.
do it, and we'll make sure that we have uh, packages for these academies so that they can have a store that allows them to sell over the top of things. One of the things that we're trying to make sure is set up is that we can buy in volume and get volume discounts so that the academies can buy for better prices and make more profit.
Sure.
And that's the thing. I mean, so when you look at that, this is a cool thing. And on top of it, there's this thing I call the influence pyramid, right? So if you go to a martial arts school and you study martial arts, basically you know the martial art and the instructor knows the martial art. And that's as far as it really grows in the community. So if the school isn't advertising or is poorly advertising or the students don't talk about it because they're embarrassed or whatever, then the influence that school has is very small. But when you have something like Predator Craft going on, where you've got multiple facilities popping up all over the place, it gets talked about. And every time you do a class, let's say you do a class of a basic 3-day class, you got between 20 and 30 people in that class usually who are going to talk to all of their friends about what they just learned, and they're going to show them a little bit of what they just learned from using the training techniques. And so I mean, that spreads really fast in a community, so everybody knows that you're there and what you do, and you don't have to pay anybody to advertise that.
That's the best advertising. Yep.
So once you get your first couple people in there, they start spreading the word really fast for you. And so the first time you got, let's say you have 10 people in class, right? Those 10 then tell 30 people, 30 more people. Those 30 people could, of them, maybe 10 more, 15 more take classes. Then they go out and they start talking to people. Now you got 20 people talking to, 30 people each. It just keeps building so that before too long, everybody knows that you know the stuff and that this is where they got it from. You see,
Pretty cool.
so
Yeah.
it makes it fun because the people who want it can easily access it then, and they know what it is. Let's see. And when you're big, small, or young or old, it doesn't matter with this stuff because you're not using gym weighted training strengths to fight with. Most things in the human body, the hardest thing in the human body to damage takes 28 pounds of force. Your head weighs more than 28 pounds. So you just got to put it in the right position. And if you know which nerves make that particular limb weak, you can twist it that way and then go snap.
And I've seen you do it. I mean, you're very good, and you don't even have to move really. Usually people come to you. You're not dancing around, and you're just there, and then
Even
they
if I go
come
to
and you
them,
bump, bump,
I
bump, bump,
just
bump.
enter them. I just come in. I make them try to defend or attack the way I want them to, and then I go after them. And it's like usually it's over very quickly because
Yeah.
they really have no training in how to stop that. Uh, and even if they did, their training is for patty cake on a mat with trying to get a trophy or a ribbon, and that doesn't do anything for you. A well-seasoned street fighter is more dangerous than your fourth or fifth degree black belt. But the street fighter still doesn't have anything to put up against this stuff because anything they do, you automatically can calculate the trajectory and the proper striking point, and we don't really defend so much in this system. We attack things that they throw at us.
Okay.
We attack them for immediate removal of threat. So if they swing at you, they aren't going to be using that arm. If they kick at you, they're not going to be using that leg. If they try and swing a stick at you, they're not going to be using anything to swing the stick with, or the stick for that matter. My stick. If you want it, if you don't want it, you just drop it and nail them in the head or whatever.
Right.
Grab a hold of them, put them in chokehold or whatever. Whatever turns you on at that moment, you'll have inspirational moments where you just go, "I want to do this." And if it works perfectly, great. If it doesn't, then you know the next thing to do.
Right.
And that's really the cool part of this is you're never without options in a situation. Outnumbered, no big deal. People are twice your size, 3 times your size, no big deal. Dealing with an animal, not that big a deal. I mean, their animals have the same general physiology as humans do. They still have arteries, they still have muscle groups, they still have nerves, they still have, certain ranges of motion that they can do. things that jump when they're in the air, they have absolutely no control over where they're going after past the point of launching themselves. You know, people who like to jump up and down, as soon as they lose the weight connection to the floor, suddenly become a free floating object. And if you kick their feet out from under them, or even kick their feet, they suddenly become non-approved trajectory items.
Right.
You know, so I mean, these are things. You know, these are things you learn. And so the deal is, you know, you win and lose a fight psychologically in your head first. If you're afraid of everything, you're going to lock up and you're just going to stand there and get beaten. If you're confident and comfortable, then you don't have a problem with that. And the training program, first of all, it's pretty immersive. I mean, you know, we don't do, well, come and we'll do a one-on-one class with you for, you know, an hour. And we don't do that because you don't learn enough in that hour to really get any real skills. So instead, we do it a day at a time, right? So you come in and you learn hand-to-hand combat. Okay, that's a whole 8-hour day. You're going to be learning hand-to-hand combat, and you're going to be immersed in it, and you're going to learn how one thing backs up and flows into the other, and you're going to be able to transition those things because you're actually employing them using our training technology on the mats with another student, you know, learning how to fine-tune it. And so those are the things that we set up and do, and so those are things that martial arts schools don't typically do because they're all about repetitive training.
Yeah, katas and all this other stuff.
Everybody
Yeah.
lines up in a row and you kick and punch and kick and you know
Yeah.
you scream ki and it sounds all impressive. It looks good like in the movies, right? But this is more like Jason Bourne stuff, right? Where you
Right.
just
Oh, yeah,
you know
exactly.
walk into a room and people are popping like popcorn because you know they're willing to volunteer themselves to demonstrate the power of Predator Craft.
Exactly. Very impressive stuff too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
And,
and
you know, why hurt yourself? Why sweat? You know, why struggle when you can simply just say, no, I'm not going to accept you hurting me.
right. I mean, it's an impressive program because there's people out there, maybe you're watching now, who maybe you have a job, you're doing a 9 to 5, you hate it. You don't want to do it anymore. You go, I'm tired of working for this guy. I want to work for myself. I want to have my own business, but I don't know what I want to do. I don't, maybe I don't have training to do anything, but I'm tired of working for other people. I want to do something for myself. This right here is your perfect opportunity because you don't have to come up with your own. I mean, you're not having to do loans and take out this, and you don't have to learn. Like, there's a learning process, but your learning process is fairly quickly.
Yeah.
Like, it's very quick as compared to other things, and it's not.
Camp is
I've
14
seen
days for an
14. How
instructor.
many?
A boot camp is 14 days for an
14
instructor.
days. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, you people, you could do this.
It's a
I
tough
mean, you could
14
start a
days.
business and it's lucrative. We're talking about you're starting your own dojos and academies, and you can do this in a short period of time. With he even helps you get the money and learn how to do that and get your clients before you're even out the door. Like the whole thing is just impressive.
Yeah. Yeah. And
So
while you're at training, your people that are your elite people are excited and waiting for you to get back to to actually open your doors. And so they're talking
right,
to people the whole time too.
that's true. Yeah,
You know, because they've actually basically uh, they've bought an elite membership from you, and so they are technically speaking invested in your program. You know what I'm saying? So they want it to work because they've given you an elite membership fee, and that's the thing. And so um, this the training the boot camp for instructors, it's 14 days of immersion training. So if you were to think about regular school, where you go to school and you're there for 6 or so hours or whatever, and you walk out and you really don't remember anything you learned, right? Well, this isn't like that. This is like we force feed this information right directly into your response system. So it bypasses the I don't know, I can't functions that usually would stop you from doing stuff and literally just puts it right into body memory, puts it right into your cognitive process. So you can't really not forget it you can't not learn it and immediately forget it. It's going to be in there.
Read the book, that kind of thing.
Yeah, you read a book, you lose, first of all, you don't pick up 30% or more of what you read, and within 24 hours, you only remember half of that. And
Yeah,
by the end of
two
the
months
month,
later, you're
you
like,
lost
I read that
1
book, but
page.
I can't tell you anything that's in it.
Exactly. And so this is directly interfacing with your immediate ability to become incredibly skillful at what you do through immersion. And so, I'll tell you, at the end of 14 days, you're going to be tired, you're going to be sore, and you're going to probably have lost a bunch of weight because you're on the mats for 8 hours a day. Well, less lunchtime. You get breakfast, you're on the mats. You get lunch, you're on the mats. You get dinner.
Well, you need your calories. You need your calories.
Then you pass out and we do it all again
Right.
for 14 days. And so and you get material stuff, right? So it's like you get the instructor guide, and you get all the forms packages, and all the release forms packages, and all of the program structures, and all of that stuff, right? Everything you need to know to do Predator Craft. Is there a business degree in here? No, we're not. There are a lot of places you can go to learn how to run a small company. If you want, you can form this as an LLC. You can form this as a sole proprietorship. You can just do it individually. I don't really care how you do it. Okay, but I want to make sure you do it safely, which is why you need to have a certified instructor teaching it. Otherwise, you have liabilities, and you don't want liabilities. And
No,
we
no.
we
So,
also help you get your liability insurance, your
hey, even
so your
better.
academy
Yeah.
insurance. There's companies that we can work with that way. So um, all the problems that most people have when they're trying to do a martial arts school aren't a problem. You see,
Right.
so that's the deal. And the training academy is fun, but it's not one of those things where it's like you're at a Hilton hotel and you walk down the street and there's arcades and coffee shops and all that kind of thing. You're kind of remote in the training program. So there's not a lot of distractions to keep you from thinking about your stuff. And usually what will happen is after all that training, people will go back to their bunks and they'll continue to talk about and play around with their training methodology. So it's like, you know, I want to work on this one thing I kind of struggled with. Can you help me with this? And one of the other students will go, sure, let's work through it, and
Yeah.
then try your thing out and learn how to fine tune it. And so, and the benefit of all this, really, when you start looking at it, is when someone swings at you and you've practiced through the training process, and every time your finger hits that one nerve, every time, because you've precision tuned your
Yeah.
response to find that one nerve, the nerve that incapacitates that whole limb structure. When you fine tuned things that way, then you don't have to worry about being super fast. That comes with the speed of the strike. In fact, if you train to be super fast and the person swinging at you is not, you're going to miss them. Right? So instead, your speed matches the attacker. You see?
Well, we're at the end of our hour, but
Yep.
if anyone wants to talk to you more about this, how could they reach out?
Well, have them get a hold of either of you, and we'll set up a Zoom call and talk through it.
Absolutely. So if you're interested in this and Predator Craft and want to know more, contact myself, Jason Lancaster, contact Starbuck Jones. We can get you in touch with Gonpo or Padma Gonpo Rinpoche, and you can learn and get to go from there.
One or both of them will probably be on the calls.
Well, absolutely, because we're part of the program too.
Yeah, it's
We'd be happy to talk to you about that. And like, I'm serious. Like, if you have a job right now you don't like and you're looking for something else, but you don't know what you want to do, this is a viable option for you. This
yeah.
is this is like serious stuff, and it can be very lucrative for you. And you're helping people, like in a real way. You're helping the world,
Well, if you're
which
not,
ties into our.
if you're the academy owner and that's the role you choose to take on in this, you can have 7 or 8 academies really easy over the course of a couple of months. And each one of those academies represents, basically you're looking at easily at 60 grand or more worth of uh, just flexible income waiting to be put into whatever you want to do. You can roll that over into the next academy if you want. You could buy additional equipment for the academy you're setting up. You could use it for payroll. You could, I mean, it's designed to eliminate all of the problems that regular people have with starting up a company.
Yeah. I mean, you've already worked out all of this stuff before you even started it. So it can help people get started. So they don't even have to come up with all this stuff. You've already done all the work, hard work for them.
Yep. They
All they
just
have
have
to do is be willing to show up and do the thing.
to do it. Yeah. And if you're an instructor, then you get to hang out in your own dojo, or I mean, say your own
Yeah,
academy all day long and have a good time. And then when
right.
you're ready, send somebody else.
Hmm.
When you want to add your instructor staff, you send somebody else to training, and then they get their license, and away they go. You know? And that's
So,
the thing with the intellectual property approach to this is that we don't make any money past the point of certification on this thing.
right.
You know what I'm saying? Unless we have other training programs that we're offering it, then those are different training programs. But I mean, the bottom line is everything you need to do at Predator Craft Academy is trained in that boot camp. And you get the equipment to immediately start. It's not, there's not a lot of businesses out there that come even close to this. And uh, the most of the martial arts academy things, they're you have to buy a franchise from them, and you have to be a black belt, which means you've already paid them a ton of money. And then on top of that, uh, they're going to charge you, 60 to $80,000 to have a facility that you have to
Yeah.
pay them. And then you have to go out and find the building and release the building and all that kind of thing. So start up a regular dojo that's licensed under Taekwondo or whatever can be really expensive. And this is paid for before you open your doors.
You're still, even if you take a 3 year martial arts program for you or your kids, you're still going to pay over the course of 3 years for all that training, probably more than what you're charging here for the 14-day training, that you could have even better training than you're going to get in your normal martial art. This is even more impressive, actually, to me.
Yeah, it's interesting. And then when you have a family that's studied this, they all know how to practice together. And
Yeah.
so your family time becomes, uh, Jason Bourne time, right?
Right. You got your own little private army.
Basically, and you'll help with your situational awarenesses because you'll be walking down the hallway, and one of your children will come flying out trying to take you down.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because they're going to do
You're like Pig Panther and Kato, right?
that. Well, anyway, we'll end the show here because we're at our hour mark. But if you're interested in learning more about this, or you want to become an instructor in Predator Craft, contact myself, Jason Lancaster, Starbuck Jones. You can use our email. I'll have it around here as well as our contact information, and we'll get you started. And you can join us next week for a new fun-filled edition of Karmic Wolf, and we'll have other topics to discuss. And until then, we wish you a good week, and we'll talk to you later.